Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news mashup video today, starting with the British scene. So we have some confirmation via the British Boxing Board of Control that Fabio Wardley and Frazer Clarke, the rematch, will be going ahead. So you can see here on screen, this is the latest British Boxing Board of Control circular for the British heavyweight title, or circular in general. But for the British heavyweight title, it confirms, following agreement reached between by both parties, the above contest will be promoted on a date and venue to be advised. As we know, earlier this year, Clarke and Wardley fought to a draw in really what was a slugfest and a great fight to watch from an action perspective. Pretty sloppy and wild at some points. You had a little bit of dirtiness and point deduction. Also a lot of big, heavy leather landing. Both guys hurt at different times in the fight. And this was also a fight where Frazer Clarke sort of announced himself as a guy who could compete at a certain level because there were question marks given some of the earlier performances. But Wardley, the holder, will defend against Frazer Clarke. Both these guys at this current time promoted by Boxer. So I guess we'll have to wait for the when it will happen, etc., via some sort of official announcement. And moving to the English title circular in terms of the heavyweight title, which is held by Solomon Dacres, he is being ordered to face Moses Itauma. So it says the stewards decided to put out the above contest to purse bids to be submitted in accordance with the terms and conditions to the board's head office by 12 noon on Wednesday, 11 September 2024, the contest to take place by the end of January 2025. So currently August as we record this. If it was going to happen, probably, November, December, potentially. Are both going to have an interim fight? That's a question because Moses Itauma has been staying busy. But in general, I like this fight for Itauma because this is a noticeable step up in terms of the quality of the opposition, in terms of the skill set. Solomon Dacres, technically decent, he's a tall guy, so Itauma's going to have to get used to fighting, taller opponents that have got a height and reach advantage over him, and in this he can get some rounds, break down Solomon Dacres, potentially take him out. And I guess for Dacres, the current holder, this might be the best time ever to face Itauma while he's still in the infancy of his career. Itauma's still pretty fresh, 9 or 10-0, so Dacres, if he's ever going to catch Itauma at the right time, it would be now. I guess, some may say, will Dacres want this fight? Are they going to take it? But both these guys are promoted by Frank Warren currently. So presumably an easy fight to make. Whether Dacres wants it or not, because there's a lot of danger with Itauma, I guess we'll see. But I like it. If it happens, I do like this fight. And I think it's a noticeable step up for Itauma. Face-to-face, Arslanbek Makhmudov and Guido Vianello ahead of their fight this weekend. And in terms of the statements from the press conference, as you can see here on screen, I will cut to the second line of Makhmudov's quotes. I respect my opponents, but I go in there to hunt. It's nothing personal, but I will make this the baddest night of his life. This is my goal. I'm sorry, but the sport is like that. Ever since I started my career, my goal is to become a champion, and I have to destroy anyone who is against me. Guido Vianello, he says, I'm really happy to be here. I've trained a lot, and this is my 6th year as a professional. I'm ready. I respect my opponent a lot. My last fight was very close. I thought I won that fight, but it's in the past. We can't change the past, so we're here to change the future. My opponent is the perfect guy to make a big step in the heavyweight division. I want to be among the top heavyweights in 1 year from now, so it's the perfect time for me. Not sure if I see him amongst the best in a year's time, but this is a fight where I think people are making a little bit closer than they would have thought, say, a year ago with Makhmudov's loss to Carty and he losing so badly, and Vianello's performance against the Jugba, which, you could make a case he could have won that fight. It was close and competitive. So this is a good fight for both. Top Rank have also confirmed that Richard Torrez will be fighting on the 20th of September, and this will be against Joey Dawejko. And as the press release which confirmed this says, Torrez has been extended past the 3rd round only twice in his young career, while Dawejko has won 7 of his past 8 fights. And I do like this fight for Richard Torrez for a number of reasons. We know Joey Dawejko, who's got a record of, 28-11. I'll just double check. Yeah, 28-11-4. He actually retired a couple of years ago and then decided after a period where he was retired to come back. But I like this for Torrez because Dawejko, if his chin is still there, we did see him stopped by Zan Kosabutsky a couple of years ago, but he claimed it was, behind the head shot. But anyway, I think this is a case of Torrez gets rounds and he needs to, basically work on breaking his opponent down. He needs to utilize the jab, not just go in there trying to blast his opponent away in a couple of rounds. He's going to be made to work. Joey Dawejko, they call him the tank for a reason. So this is kind of one of those right fights at the right time. So I like this for him. And maybe Dawejko is thinking, well, if Torrez is overlooking him, if he, blows himself out and gasses or something, that he could be in here with a shot. We have seen in the past Joey Dawejko against the likes of Sergey Kuzmin, nearly upturned the apple cart and arguably should have got that decision. Hughie Fury, he will be returning the 27th of September. Opponent is still TBA, but in the build-up to this event, he is saying that he wants to remain active afterwards, and he's calling for the likes of Zhang Jilei, Dillian Whyte, and Derek Chisora. He wants those fights, and he said people aren't wanting to fight Zhang. He's willing to face him, and he's calling out the likes of Whyte and Chisora in terms of domestic opposition that would make sense to him. I guess for Fury, he's kind of on the outside looking in at the moment. He's, when he was fighting and he was somewhat active, he wasn't exactly sort of, thrilling us as fans and putting on the best performances and putting himself in the position where he's going to fight for a title. He has fallen short at the top level against the likes of Povetkin, Pulev, and Parker, and is a former title challenger from all the way back in, 2017? It feels so long ago, and he's not even 30 yet. But where he's at, it's hard to know because a couple of years out, long COVID symptoms, the Michael Hunter fight in 2022 never happened, scheduled a couple of times. We don't really know where he's at. What's the desire? I mean, it's all well and good for him to say these things, but it's seemingly at a month's notice not going to be anyone good for this fight in September. At the moment, I think he's dreaming if he really thinks he can get these bigger fights just for the fact at the moment he's not relevant. They've got to put him in a position where he can put on a performance for us to go, wow, because it's not just that he's some sort of forgotten man in the division. I mean, there's nothing really for anyone at the moment and no demand from fans for him to face a big fighter. I think that's just the reality. Why would fighters be just voluntarily sort of plucking Fury out from obscurity effectively and giving him a shot? I don't think they will. And at the moment, record of 28-3, fought twice so far this year, so I guess we'll have to see what happens. In terms of Dillian Whyte, who he's called out, he's still grinding away, training in Portugal, currently training with Thomas Carty, who he does manage. So Dillian Whyte, unclear what the what next is. He's been connected with a few names, but I guess we shall see. And Ivan Dychko sort of sighting, he will be back in the ring, and this is midweek. It's going to be the 21st of August, and this is going to be on a Pro Box card. So you will be able to catch this on YouTube via ProBox. He will be facing Craig Lewis. Lewis is a guy who's been in the past a pretty durable sort of journeyman, gives an honest performance. Ivan Dychko, he's the last couple of years, he's fought once a year. It's been on those KO for drugs events out in South America that the WBA's put on, and effectively else, the rest of the time he has not been active. For a guy who's 6'9" with quite a bit of talent, he was a twice Olympic bronze medalist. He's just been nowhere and achieved nothing as a pro. He's been pro for 7 or 8 years and only got a record of 13-0. I mean, if you really want to do something, it really is, time to hit the go button. In his early 30s now, so, time to make something happen. He needs to get some better management or something. But good to see that he will be back. The German heavyweights, Peter Kadiru and Viktor Jurk, they will be back in September on a card in Hamburg. So Jurk, he's an interesting prospect. I think that he projects as a guy that could end up going to European level and a little bit higher. Southpaw, 6'8", got a lot of sort of raw ingredients that you like to see. Kadiru, who was a very good amateur, he's sort of fallen off a little bit. Early on in his career, he was very technical, but it was as boring as as anything. No entertainment value. Tried to change up his style, and then against the sort of run of things, he gets stopped by a journeyman in 2022. So he's making his way back from that loss. Currently a record of 18-1, while Jurk's got a record of 9-0. I think out of the two, Jurk's going to go a lot further and farther than Kadiru. But obviously, Peter Kadiru is still relatively young, 27 years old. He's got talent, 6'4". We'll have to see what they can do in their return fights coming up in September. And rounding out this heavyweight mashup video, news and notes, you've got the return of gunner Kolbeinn Kristinsson. So Iceland's only male professional fighter in heavyweight. He says on his social media that he can announce he'll be defending his Baltic Union heavyweight belt in a fight against Mika Mielonen. So you do have a case, the last time I saw Mielonen, that was back in 2023, and that was against Robert Helenius. And you may recall, Helenius fought Mielonen, who was unbeaten at that point. He stops him in, 3 rounds or so, and then Helenius a week later, off the back of the activity, faces Anthony Joshua at short notice because Dillian Whyte failed a drug test. So you had a case, Robert Helenius also later failed a drug test. Anyway, you've got gunner Kolbeinn Kristinsson versus Mika Mielonen. That also is going to be, in September, I think it is, September the 3rd in Helsinki. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.